Well, those are the key headlines at this hour, and this is the show where our team at CNBC-TV18 brings you the top stories of the day. I'm Ritu Singh, and you're watching Reporter's Diary. Well, first up, all of the market action from the day. The market slipped in the last hour of trade to erase a major chunk of gains that was seen in the first half of the day. The Sensex was at a record high of 39,116, but slipped in the last hour to end only 0.5% higher. The Nifty failed to hold on to that 11,700 mark, but ended 0.25% higher. The mid-caps rose in line with the benchmarks and closed 116 points off the day's highs, and the Nifty Bank ended in the red after falling 322 points from the record high of 30,648. Surbi Upadhyay, as always, is here with a wrap of all the trading action. Surbi.
Well, quite an interesting day, tantalizing near those all-time highs. Yes for the Sensex, no for the Nifty. And a pretty dramatic sell-off in the last 1 hour. That really sums up Monday's trading action. So we did see the Sensex hit that level of 39,115, record levels for that particular index. The Nifty was just 23 points away from its all-time highs, but then the selling really came in. Now, call it profit-taking, call it nerves, call it just a little bit of caution perhaps, but the fact is that the sell down came in, and the sell down came in the Bank Nifty. That index, after hitting a fresh high, was off 400 points from the peak. The good thing for the bulls is that the global party seems to be intact. A lot of the markets in Asia and Europe was trending higher as we were trading. So if that continues, then maybe it's just a matter of time before the Nifty claims that level as well. Let me now come down to stocks. So what worked in favor of the bulls today? So green across the screen on Tata Motors, Hindalco, Tata Steel. As I said, the global party is fueling the rally in some of these stocks, particularly the commodities that I speak of. Maruti pretty decent because the sales numbers weren't as disappointing as what we've seen in the recent past. RIL and L&T were the other heavyweights that were batting for the bulls. IT was a strong pillar for the market as well. TCS, Infosys, Wipro, HCL Tech, almost all the biggies were firing up on the front foot. So what was the problem? Again, I come back to the banks and the sell down that we had in the last 1 hour. IndusInd Bank, Kotak Mahindra Bank, HDFC Bank, ICICI, SBI, you name it. Most of these stocks are on the way down. Other laggards included the likes of UPL, Z Entertainment, Eicher Motors and Mahindra & Mahindra. While Maruti bucked the trend, the two-wheeler guys are still having a rough ride. Let's come down to the mid-cap screen. Even here, there was a lot of profit-taking from the highs of the day. Though we did have some gainers, the Tata Motors DVR was very smart along with the main shares. IRB, Minda Industries, these were some of the other names that were looking good today. Intellect Design Arena, where there's a deal that they announced. And Andhra Bank was quite sizzling, actually, with a near 15% up move. Speaking of Andhra Bank, let me come to India's second largest PSU bank. Bank of Baroda, in its new avatar, was trading on the street, and a positive start, 2.5% up as it played out. Then what was wrong with the mid-cap market? Where was the profit taking? Well, some auto names will come back on your screens here as well. Escorts, poor numbers for the month gone by. Ashok Leyland, numbers getting better, but the market's still not enthused, so 1% down on that stock. Shriram Transport Finance, financier to a lot of these CVs. Prestige Estates and DLF, two real estate stocks which were also seeing some profit taking. Speaking of real estate, India's first REIT is finally here after years and years of waiting. So the debut is on the positive side as far as Embassy Office Parks is concerned, about a 5 to 6% up move. The question is whether it will find more traction. That's the question for the bulls as well. Right now, people are just seeing this as a little bit of a pause and maybe just a matter of time before momentum also takes the Nifty to the all-time high.
All right, Surbi, thanks very much for joining in with a wrap of all of that trading action. Now, lenders to Jet Airways have chalked out an alternative plan to keep the airline afloat in case they fail to find a willing investor to pick up a majority stake in the airline. Now, this plan suggests multiple ways to ensure a fund infusion of over 10,000 crore rupees, including transfer of Etihad and Naresh Goyal's stake to an independent trust that could be held by the lenders. Anu Sharma has picked up more details on this proposed strategy and joins us now. Anu, where will this 10,000 crore rupees be raised from?
Well, there are three major sources from where that sum will be raised. But as of now, the lenders are now looking at an alternative plan to rescue the airline in case they are unable to find a single investor to buy a majority stake. For a full resolution of Jet Airways' financial crisis, the airline would need a total of 10,645 crore rupees. Now, the plan B lists out, as I was saying earlier, three major sources to raise this sum. first step requires all shareholders to transfer a part or entire stake to an independent trust. The trust will be managed by trustees appointed by the lenders, and the lenders will have a call option on the shares owned by them at 150 rupees per piece. New cash equity infusion of around 5,135 crore will be done through rights issue at the rate of 150 rupees per share. This will bring 2 new investors on the board and result in complete exit of Naresh Goyal and Etihad. Secondly, 2,400 crore rupees of loan will be provided to help in refinancing of planes. And thirdly, 2,000 crore rupees will come in non-fund-based facilities. Now, after issuing this capital, the draft plan directs the domestic lenders to write down their entire debt of 2,600 crore rupees, and foreign lenders are required to take a haircut of 1,170 crore rupees. The plan does not ask for any write-down by lessors or the other creditors. Overall, lenders are hoping to achieve gains of over 2,600 crore rupees by March 2022, assuming the share price of the company reaches the levels of around 300 rupees per share by that time. So at the end of Plan B, we are looking at Jet Airways, 30% owned by lenders, 20 to 25% owned by the 2 new investors, 15% by the trust, and the remaining 10.7% of public shareholding. Now that a backup plan is in place, it remains to be seen whether the first plan takes off. Consortium of lenders is expected to invite expressions of interest for stake sale in Jet Airways on April 9th, but one key point for the airline, whether it goes ahead with Plan A or B, will be its ability to retain key landing and takeoff slots at major airports. Back to you.
All right, Anu, thank you very much for bringing us those important details. This is Plan A and Plan B, but all of it hinges on the new investors coming in, and 9th of April is the next date to watch out for. Now, Romesh Sobti is looking ready to helm IndusInd Bank even after crossing the 70 years age limit. Sobti, remember, is currently 69 and he'll cross that mark only in March next year. But speaking to CNBC-TV18, he said that he would be happy to continue, but of course he would need RBI's blessings. Do remember, there is another veteran private banker, Aditya Puri of HDFC Bank, who is also currently 69, and any such precedent set by Sobti would also benefit Mr. Puri. Now here's Romesh Sobti on the potential extension of his tenure.
I have to go up to March 2020, and I think Aditya has even more time till the middle of next year. So I think these are early days. If there are debates and discussions at board levels and others and all, you know, I'm not fully aware. But I think both of us would be very happy to continue. At least speaking for myself, I'm quite happy to continue.
All right, now the Bombay High Court questioned Kotak Mahindra Bank why RBI should not act against the bank for not bringing promoter shareholding below 20% as mandated by the norms. Now the court also asked Kotak Mahindra Bank to file an affidavit to defend its issuance of perpetual non-cumulative preference shares to dilute the promoter holding. Now this move was rejected by the RBI earlier, do remember, and the case has been on since then. Yash N is here with more details on the latest from today. Yash, take us through the courtroom action that took place today.
Well, Ritu, the counsel for Kotak Mahindra Bank very clearly reiterating their stand that the promoter shareholding in Kotak Mahindra Bank, that is Mr. Uday Kotak shareholding in Kotak Mahindra Bank, is below that crucial 20% mark required by the Reserve Bank of India and of course the banking regulations. And this dilution in the promoter shareholding has been done through issuance of preferential shares, and the whole mechanism of dilution under that 20% is in compliance with banking regulations and other set of regulations. So there is no violation of any sort of regulations when it comes to the mechanism which has been taken by the promoters of Kotak Mahindra Bank. Another concern which was raised by the counsel for Kotak Mahindra Bank is that they said that in this entire situation between RBI and Kotak Mahindra Bank, what is in question is the promoter shareholding in Kotak Mahindra Bank, and hence any potential action, any potential communication from the Reserve Bank of India should be done against the promoter and not against the bank. To which the Bombay High Court observed that RBI is the regulator when it comes to the banking system in India, and hence any communication, any potential action will have to be done against Kotak Mahindra Bank. Also, as far as the whole mechanism of issuance of PCPNS or preferential shares is concerned, to bring down that promoter shareholding, the Bombay High Court said that of course Kotak Mahindra Bank will have to file an affidavit when it comes to explaining how the entire mechanism is in compliance with the Banking Regulations Act. That will have to be done before April 22nd, and that's the date when the Bombay High Court would hear the matter next.
All right, Yash, thanks very much for joining. In April 22nd is the next hearing in that case. Now, March auto sales figures have started to trickle in, and Maruti shares gained close to 7% after the company saw a 7% rise in sales from last month. Ashok Leyland also reported a good set of sales numbers, while M&M's tractor sales disappointed. Sonia Shenoy joins in with all of those details. Sonia, how was the performance for auto companies?
Well, thanks a lot for that. It was a quiet month for the auto sector. Lackluster, actually. Demand has been weak, so there's been just a single-digit growth across pockets. The big takeaway really is that tractor sales have fallen substantially. So M&M, for example, saw a 30% fall in domestic tractor sales, and they did say that demand has been weak. The Rabi sowing was not as good as expected, and festive season has been postponed. Even Escort's tractor sales were under quite a bit of pressure, just a 1% growth seen over there. Maruti's sales were lackluster too. It's a downtick of 1.6% that Maruti saw. But the good part is there's been a month-on-month recovery in Maruti sales, went up about 7% month-on-month. And R.C. Bhargav, the chairman of the company, indicated that sales will definitely pick up post the elections. Apart from that, Ashok Leyland as well, a good month-on-month improvement is what we saw, and 18% growth compared to what we saw in the month of February. However, year-on-year sales continue to be lackluster. So the sum and substance was that, yes, tractors was a negative surprise this month. Otherwise, by and large, in line with street expectations.
Now, global hospitality marketplace Airbnb has made a big investment in Oil Rooms but has not disclosed the details of this deal. Airbnb will be working to make Oyo accommodations available on its own platform. Megha Vishwanath joins in with further details on that story. Megha, what does this mean both for Airbnb and more importantly for Oyo Rooms going forward?
After weeks of speculation, Airbnb has finally confirmed its strategic investment in homegrown hospitality company Oyo. This is Oyo's Series E round, and both parties at this point are not disclosing the investment amount or the terms of the investment. Now, in addition to this funding, both Airbnb and Oyo are exploring new ways of collaborating and working together, including making Oyo accommodations available on the Airbnb platform. Let's try and understand why Airbnb would invest in Oyo.
All right, we'll have Megha back with us later. But for now, Facebook has removed close to 700 pages linked to the Congress party. Facebook has alleged that these pages were engaging in coordinating inauthentic behavior. Kevin Lee joins us for more on that story. Kevin, what have you made from Facebook's statement, and are there any other parties that are involved?
Well, the wording of Facebook's statement is fairly interesting. It's saying that it's removed 687 pages engaging in coordinated inauthentic behavior, and they've linked these pages to individuals who are associated with the Indian National Congress's IT cell. It said that the pages have been taken down not based on the content they were sharing, but the behavior. So that's the pattern in which they were sharing it is what it constitutes as spam, basically, which is why Facebook has suspended these pages. Now, another company that Facebook has mentioned in its report is an IT company called SilverTouch. Facebook has said that it's removed 15 pages linked to this company. Interestingly, there have been media reports over the last 2 years that associate this company, SilverTouch, to the BJP. SilverTouch is apparently the company that has designed the Namo app. However, SilverTouch has denied working with any political parties, and we've not independently verified the authenticity of these reports. But it is interesting that Facebook has mentioned the Congress's name. It's not mentioned the BJP's name. It's only mentioned it through this company, that's SilverTouch. And what's also interesting to note is that this comes barely 2 weeks after Facebook had suspended YouTuber Dhruv Rathi's Facebook page for an anti-Modi post. There have been comments raised online that this could be selective censorship ahead of the elections. So we'll see if Facebook releases any further statements to this.
Or Congress for that matter. Kevin, thanks very much for joining in with that report. And it's time now for a special election-focused story, the CNBC-TV18 Election Caravan. This week, we travel to the interiors of Maharashtra to get a check on the pulse of voters there. My colleague Archana Shukla is in Manmad Taluk of Nasik, and she spoke to a group of farmers to get a sense of their priorities ahead of the polls and the issues that they think will set the narrative when they cast their vote.
नांदगाव Taluka, Manmad, in district Nasik, I set out chatting with a few onion farmers because onion is the main crash crop of this region. And we've seen multiple farmer agitations around falling prices of onions in the last couple of months. We've seen farmers dump their crops because prices had fallen down to as low as 2 or 3 rupees for 10 kgs of onions. And even now when I started talking to the farmers, they said prices are down to as much as 500 rupees a quintal. That's one of the biggest issues. But if we can, get to understand what really is weighing on their minds before they go to vote this time around, has all the agitation actually made some difference in their lives or not? पिछले कुछ सालों में सर हमने देखा है कि पिछले 1-2 सालों में बहुत सारा आंदोलन किया है किसानों ने, खासकर प्याज के किसानों ने भी। दाम जो है आप लोगों को नहीं मिल रहे थे पिछले कुछ महीनों में। बहुत न्यूज़ देखी कि सड़क पर आप लोगों ने जो है अपने प्याज तक फेंक दिए हैं। अभी क्या परिस्थिति है आपकी? दाम वगैरह मिल रहे हैं आपको?
आज भी वही परिस्थिति है, मगर अकाल गिरने से माल नहीं है। माल कम होने से थोड़ा रेट है, 400-600 रुपया जा रहा है, मगर वो भी रेट अच्छा नहीं है कि जिसमें किसान की उपज का पैसा निकल सके। प्याज किसान की बहुत ही बुरे हाल है। प्याज की लागत कम हुई, बरसात नहीं है, पीने के लिए पानी नहीं है, तो प्याज आएगा कहाँ से? हमारे तालुके में प्याज की रुपई ही हुई नहीं। बाहर से प्याज आ रहा, थोड़ा बहुत प्याज आ रहा, और उसको भी कीमत नहीं है, रेट मिलते नहीं अच्छे।
पर अभी इसके पीछे आंदोलन भी बहुत हुए हैं, तो क्या सरकार ने इसके प्रति कुछ किया है ताकि दाम बढ़ सकें या फिर पानी आप लोगों को मिल सके ताकि आप खेती अच्छे से कर सकें?
सरकार किसान के लिए, कोई भी सरकार हो, किसान का खाली राजनीति के लिए यूज करती है। सरकार परमानेंट सॉल्यूशन ये किसान के लिए निकलती नहीं है। कर्जा माफी करना या 6,000 रुपये देना या 200 रुपये क्विंटल के पीछे देना, ये कोई परमानेंट सॉल्यूशन है नहीं।
हम प्याज वाले किसान जो है, अभी उसको एमएसपी न होने की वजह से वो गवर्नमेंट उसको खरीदती नहीं है। बहुत रेयरली होता है कि वो खरीदती है, इसके बदले में उसको देती नहीं किसानों को, वो प्राइवेट सेक्टर ही लेता है उसको ज़्यादा करके। और जो लेते हैं उनकी श्योरिटी नहीं थी, जो लॉन्ग टर्म पॉलिसी होना चाहिए गवर्नमेंट की एक्सपोर्ट इंपोर्ट की, तो वो होती नहीं।
इस बार सरकार ने कहा था कि 6,000 रुपए जो हैं वो आपके खाते में आएंगे। पहले 2,000 रुपए तो आपके खाते में आ जाएंगे। आप लोगों को मिले हैं किसी को? नहीं मिले। आप लोग में से कोई है जिन लोग के पास 5 एकड़ से कम की जमीन है जिसको मिलना चाहिए था? नहीं मिले हैं। आपने पूछा आपके इनसे?
अकाउंट चेक किया ना, नहीं मिला हमारे खाते में। 2,000 जमा नहीं हुए।
2,000 रुपये हर 4 महीने में दे के किसान में कोई फर्क होने वाला नहीं है। देहात से उसको गांव तक, बैंक तक आने को 100 रुपया खर्चा लगता है। मिनिमम बैलेंस उसको 1,500 रुपये रखना है करंट अकाउंट में, तो 2,000 दे के फायदा क्या होगा उसका? अभी की जो मौजूदा सरकार है, आपको लगता है उनकी जो नीतियां हैं खेती के लिए, किसानी के लिए, आप लोगों के लिए, उसमें कुछ अच्छे के लिए बदलाव हुआ है या नहीं?
नहीं हुआ है, कुछ बदलाव नहीं हुआ है।
अभी कांग्रेस ने अपनी तरफ से ये ऐलान किया है कि जो गरीब तबके के लोग हैं उनको 72,000 रुपए साल में वो देगी। आप लोग को लगता है उससे कुछ आपको फायदा होगा?
नहीं, अगर उसकी सरकार आ गई ना, उसने भी नहीं दिया तो इसने भी बहुत वादे किए, और कांग्रेस ने नहीं दिया तो उसका कोई भरोसा नहीं ना उसका। 1 महीने बाद आप लोगों को वोटिंग करनी है, तो यहाँ पर क्या मुद्दे किसानों के हैं जो उठ रहे हैं?
यहाँ जो अभी मुद्दे है, सबसे बड़ी बात तो किसानों को जो फसल है उसको एमएसपी देना ही इसके ऊपर सोल्यूशन है। अगर तुम एमएसपी नहीं दोगे तो किसान का कोई भला नहीं कर सकता। तुम ऐसे टुकड़ों में कितने देते रहेंगे किसानों को? 6,000, 2,000, कोई बोलता 72,000 वो साल को। ये क्या देने वाली चीज है कि ये?
Well, pricing for their onion crops is obviously one of the biggest issues, but most of them here feel that none of the governments actually work on any of the promises that they make for farmers, and somewhere in the loud noises of nationalism and of security, national security threats for the country and what the government has done, in those issues, somewhere the issues for the farmers are getting lost as dates for elections are nearing and rallies and speeches are making way into their lives. So most of them feel that the farmers' issues are somewhere being lost in this cacophony. With camera person Bharat Kori, Archana Shukla here in Manmad.